So today we're going to be talking about different form factors when it comes to storage media. Um, the reason why I want to make this is because you'll hear a lot of terms being thrown around. M.2, SATA, hard drive, HDD, SSD. What does it all mean, right? Let's start chronologically. Now I'm not going to bring out floppy drives and stuff like that because one, I don't have any with me at the ready, and two, I don't think it's really relevant in this day and age. But back in the day, you had these kind of thinner, relative to semi-modern hard drives, right? They all fit the same, you know. So, but the reason why I want to highlight this is look at this Barracuda, 160 gigs. That's nothing, because nowadays you can get, you know, 1 TB for like super cheap. I got this on eBay like $30, right? You can get hard drives for super cheap for like 4 TB, 2 TB, 3 TB, and we'll highlight that when we're talking about what you want to choose in terms of storage media for your applications. Now, the biggest thing about hard drives is that they're super cheap. They're cheap, but you got to keep an eye on the health. They don't like being turned on and off again over and over and over again, right? In addition to that, they don't like a lot of hours. So you got to be careful with how many hours you put on these things. That being said, they're also super slow. Now, back in the day, in the PS4, they gave you one of these, right? Now this is a what I would refer to as this is a hard drive, right? Just like these two silver ones I have here. This is a hard drive, but this is a hard drive that you would find in like a laptop or in a small form factor application. I mean, just look at the size difference, right? Like this is some stuff that you would see in like old Toshiba laptops from like the mid 2000s. Nowadays, modern laptops have SSDs on them. In addition to having, like, they have modular SSDs that you can remove, and then they have like soldered on SSDs that you can't really easily remove from the system. I don't really like those because I like to have it be modular, in addition to the fact that if it goes kaput, I don't want to go and take it to a shop to have it desoldered and removed and stuff like that. But when we had modular hard drives like this in a laptop, if this went kaput, you can just buy a new one or buy a used one and throw one in there. Or you could buy a laptop with low storage and then buy a hard drive that was higher storage. Like you could buy a laptop with 250 gigs of this kind of storage and then throw in a 1 TB, and it would make it a whole lot better. But one thing I want you to look at is, do you see that RPM 5400? If you're going to forgive me if the camera's on my forehead, so I can't really tell. But if you're going to pick a hard drive, at the very minimum, you want the RPMs to be 7200. Let me see if I can find it on this guy. Does it not say? Oh, right here. See the Barracuda 7200.10? That's a representative of its RPM. So even though this is 160, this can read and write faster than this guy because the disks that are in it spin faster on the right drive, on the bigger drive, than on the left one. So a little tidbit, when you bought a PS4 back in the day, even if it was like a PS4 Slim, which was like a top of the line one that they got, Sony was really disrespectful because the best thing they could have done was give you an SSD, right? Like this Kingston, right? We'll get into that in a second. But what they did to cut costs is they would throw in a hard drive, and then they would throw in the slowest 5400 RPM hard drive in the world. So one of the most popular modifications people did was they would throw this out and then pick up one of these high terabyte SSDs, which I don't think this is high terabyte. I think this is like 240 gig right here, right? They would pick up a like 1 TB SATA SSD and throw it into a computer, load the PS4 operating system software, and then now they would upgrade their PS4 to 1 terabyte. I had to do that, and that's a whole different video, a whole different discussion as to why. But this was a very popular upgrade. But one thing I found really disrespectful is the fact that, like, you know, just for like $100 more, they could have thrown in an SSD or something like that, even a 240 gig SSD, because they were giving like, they weren't even putting like 1 terabyte hard drives in there. They would give you a 500 gigabyte, 5400 RPM in your stock PS4, in your PS4 Slim, and whatever. And it's just like so ridiculous. I don't even think they like upgraded the storage to an SSD or to a faster hard drive in their Pro edition. Maybe they did. I don't really know. I mean, we're talking about hardware that's like 10 years old now, but I just think it's ridiculous that the public as a whole could accept that, because I can't accept that. That's ridiculous. So yeah, you would find these kind of form factors in like smaller applications. You would have them in like laptops. You would have them in, you know, consoles, PS4, or whatever. But like, if you're gonna upgrade, or if you're gonna choose, or if I'm gonna build a PC, I'm not gonna choose like any of these, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to have long-term storage on a hard drive, like storage that I'm not going to quickly access. For example, if I have Minecraft worlds that, you know, I don't always play, I can save those worlds to my hard drive. But when it comes to something like my operating system that I use every day, like Windows, and I want to read and write to Windows faster, I want Windows to boot faster, I'm going to look into, let's clear up some desk space. I'm going to look into my SSD options, right? Solid state drive. So you have SATA SSDs. Now, if you look at the connectors of both of these guys, you can see that they go out and then down and then out and then down, right? That's the standard SATA connection, which, by the way, if you buy enterprise level like X data center hard drives on the cheap, make sure that you know what you're buying, because if you get one that's SATA but it's actually SAS, you're gonna have a hard time like either finding adapters for your computer or having it play nice with your computer. So make sure that, you know, you select SAS or you select SATA for your enterprise level X data center hardware if you're trying to build like a network area storage, or if you're trying to find cheap hard drives. Make sure you're getting the proper form factor, because it does matter. So back to here, like, this is an SSD and this is a hard drive, but the common factor of it is the fact that their connectors are the same. They're SATA connectors, meaning that the cables that I would use for this hard drive for my PC here would be the same as the ones that I use for this guy, right? I would need one for power and one for data. So, you know, these are both SSDs. Well, this is the enclosure, but, you know, the difference is this is M.2 and this is SATA SSD. So why would I choose one over the other? M.2, from what I understand, is generally better. The problem is most M.2 connections are only apply to newer motherboards. So if you look at this motherboard I have on the Dell Optiplex from 2014, this guy doesn't have an M.2 connector on the board at all. Now, there are solutions you can look into, like adapters that you plug in from your PCIe slot, and it would like have an M.2 plug into the adapter, and the adapter would plug in to the blue PCIe slot here, or this one there, if you can see it on the camera. I've never done that before. Always check the reviews, and always check the forums for people who have like done that kind of stuff and looked into all the struggles. In general, I would say that if you're building a gaming PC, you would like to have a high storage M.2 SSD, at least for your operating system, and at the very least for the games that you play the most. For example, right? Let's look here. Like, one game I play a lot is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, right? So if I have an M.2 and a large storage hard drive within my computer, I would want to put the games that I play the most onto my M.2 SSD, so that way it can boot faster and run faster. And I would like to put the games that I don't always play that much onto my hard drive. Maybe I don't want to delete the saves that I have for it or the game files that I have for it. The thing is, I don't really access them a lot. I don't play them a lot. And to save space on my M.2, I can just put the games that I don't play a lot onto my long-term storage hard drive. This is the same case for certain applications that take a lot of processing power to load and all this other stuff. You know, understanding what solution is right for you and the general rule of thumbs that people have is very important. One rule of thumb that I subscribe to is if you can afford the money, I would get like, here, hold on, damn, enclosure. If you can afford the money, I would get M.2. Just M.2 overall throughout the multiple upgrades and builds that I've had on my PCs, is super fast. Okay, so little tidbit, right? Back on my Dell machine, Optiplex 710. Like I said, you'll have an M.2 that, like a slot on the actual board itself, that'll support an M.2. Now I know that this board is too old to do so, and you know, you can get an adapter, but I've never done it, so I can't recommend it. I know that some motherboards don't like to play nice with a lot of M.2 adapters, and some BIOSes don't really support M.2 depending on how old the system is, but most systems will 100% support SATA based hardware and SATA based drives, right? That being the case, like I said earlier in the earlier vid, I have my SSD that's a SATA here, and I have my hard drive that's a SATA here, and you can see that the connectors are the same. I'm really hoping this shows up in the video. The camera is now lower in my head, so hopefully you guys can see that these two connectors match, right? That being the case, you'll have, you know, SATA power coming from your power supply unit with the big ribbon cable that you'll connect here. If you'd fit, there we go, kind of a tight fit because it's an old cable. All right, and then you have your SATA ribbon cable here. This is your data side that is directly connected to a SATA port on your motherboard itself. That way, my lamp's about to slip out considering the fact that it's, oh, hold on, how's this arranged? There we go. Yeah, thank you, lamp. That's why I duct tape you. No duct tape this time. So at this point in time, all I would have to worry about is mounting it to my storage caddies. Now, Dell has given me these plastic ones that are the bane of me because of how annoying they are. I'll be dead honest with you. If it's me, partner, it's my computer. I'm getting the duct tape, I'm getting the electrical tape, I'm getting the welder out. No matter what, this thing's going in. I don't care how it's getting fastened. More than likely, I'm getting the zip ties, and especially if it's a SATA SSD, because with the hard drive, you have to worry about the centrifugal force of the vibrations of the disk spinning and all the other clicking and clacking. So mounting it means more to how it works. You don't want it to flip and flop every time you move your computer, especially if it's running, because the clearance between the reading disk, like if you can imagine a record player, the needle and the disk, the clearance is like small. So vibrations can really mess stuff up. They can scratch the disks up. It can really brick your stuff. But when it comes to solid state, I mean, dude, there's no moving components in this thing. So if you want to, you know, shove it in there and zip tie it around the thing, dude, have at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would 100% do that. Where's the harm? Where's the hurt? I'd love to hear somebody complain and bitch about how this is not some sort of standard practice and you gotta use, dude, you gotta pee with what you have. You know what I'm saying? And these stupid plastic trays, I mean, come on, dude. Like, it's crazy. If I were to design, if I was supposed to make a system like this or whatever, I would have a easily detachable tray that can just pop out like that, put in my discs, put it in, and then the cables go that way instead of going at a 90-degree angle. I don't have to worry about clipping, and the worst part is that these things are like riveted to the case. So for you to, I don't know, maybe 3D print something like an enclosure or whatever, it would be annoying to deal with. I'm sure you could really mod it up, but for the price of these cases, I mean, it's almost not worth it. But yeah, that's how you would connect SATA to a motherboard that supports SATA, and most motherboards support SATA. So like this computer didn't come with a hard drive, but most of the time if you buy like a used office PC off of like Craigslist or something, it'll come with like a super junker hard drive or something like that. Like I just bought a server, and the guy he threw in a 500 gigabyte hard drive in there, and in the back of my mind I'm like, I can throw in a terabyte for the server, or I could just spend a little bit of money and get, you know, some SATA SSDs in there, because the server only supports one M.2 or anything like that. I hope this isn't confusing at all. I'm just trying to express how important it is to know what form factors you want for different applications. I honestly, in my opinion, if you're running a computer and it's still running a slow, you know, 5400 or 7200 RPM based machine or based hard drive, you're really missing out on all the joys that SSDs can give.
Dude, if you're gonna build a gaming PC, just bite the bullet and get a damn SSD, especially if your motherboard can support it. And you'll be able to tell by looking at the board. There's gonna be an M.2 slot in addition to a you know, it's going to be on the listing. It might be in the manual that you didn't read that it says that it supports M.2. Don't be fooled. There is an M.2 slot for Wi-Fi on your motherboard. You might be tempted to put it there, but you won't have the screw hole. Or is my mouse not showing for that? Okay, hello. The screw hole here that needs to exist for you to mount your SSD onto the board. That, as I say that, if you buy an M.2, you gotta understand, these companies are so disrespectful. They won't give you the screw and screwdriver that you need that should come with the M.2. Like when I bought this M.2 SSD, it did not come with it. I still have the case for, you know, it's like you're spending $100, you can't throw a $5, you know, pack of screws and screwdriver. I think it's just like, the customer service these days is actually so fucked up when you think about it. So, you know, here I was, I bought my M.2 SSD, I'm so hyped to upgrade, and I can't put it onto the thing, and it's like, you'll put it in, and it sticks out sideways, and I'm like, okay, can I tape it to the board? You know, electrical tape, duct tape, Hey, if you do that, and it works for you, let me know, okay, because that is janky, dude, especially for something that has all of your data and all of your windows in it. I'm not going to risk that. I went on Amazon. Get yourself one of these. $7, right? PCIe NVMe M.2. You basically will just need the screwdriver and one of these screws. It's so worth it, dude. It's so worth it. Because now you're going to have a pack of them, and all of your friends that want to upgrade SSDs and stuff, you could be like, yo, dude, I got like the screws if you need them or whatever. And then, you know, it's a fun time. It's like, hey, I have extra whenever I want to make other PCs for other people, or I want to just give these to my buddies or some shit. I could just be like, yeah, I got the screws and standoffs, just let me know, you know. But yeah, I get this. So just basically, when you look at the price of this one for $99, get yourself a pack of these guys. And if these guys go on sale for like Black Friday or Cyber Monday or something like that, then you really have no excuse not to get one of these, considering the fact that it's factored into the sale. If you're gonna play online games, any video game that you play with other people, please get a SSD, because they're going to load in faster than you, and they're going to clown the shit out of you. They are going to clown the hell out of you, bro. If you don't load in the second they load in, if you're holding up the whole... Like in Rainbow Six, there's always one guy that holds up the whole lobby, because the game doesn't start until everybody loads in, and it's just like, everyone's just sitting there like, brother, please, come on. Like, what are you playing on, a fucking floppy disk? You know, like... And overall, dude, like having an SSD with your Windows on is just such a fantastic experience. Your boot times are going to be insane. Now, you can get away with having, you know, your Windows on a hard drive. When I first built my PC, I had a hard drive in it that I bought, so that was like 2019, and I don't know if it didn't die. It was just constantly blue screen. So it's, bad sectors and stuff like that. So the drive is on its last deathbed. I don't really trust it to have anything. Maybe I'll have it as like a seventh backup or something crazy, right? That lasted about 4 years. So yeah, you can get longevity out of your hard drives and stuff, but just the user experience of having a very fast SSD is just amazing. Now, I'll always have backups. Always have backups of important stuff. I would argue, and some people are very like tinfoily about cloud storage and having sensitive data up there. I get that. However, don't get caught lacking, because this guy, with its blue screening, Windows Prepare automatic repair step, it caught me lacking. And now I don't know what's on this thing. I'm still okay. I'm still surviving. I still have a lot of like my sensitive stuff, family photos, whatever, on different drives. But I'm not entirely sure. And the fact that I was caught lacking that way and had to make an emergency purchase for the 980 Pro, the 1 TB edition, was just kind of ridiculous to me. So just because it's an SSD doesn't mean that it can't fail. Everything and anything can fail. Always operate with that mindset. Always have backups. Do you need a heatsink? Personally, I never bought one with a heatsink. However, since it's the same price with whatever sale that's going on with Amazon, you might as well get it anyway. Maybe you'll have some performance differences. I believe that this is mostly for SSDs that are going to be in enclosures, because most of the time your motherboard is going to have a heat spreader and like a built-in heat shield that'll screw, paste onto your SSD. So if you're not sure, I would just buy it anyway, especially considering the fact that, at least for this specific example, it's the same price. Let's go back here. Okay. It is, if you have hard drives, like all the hard drives like I do, it's really nice to have an external enclosure. You just need to have a wall-mounted plug-in that this comes with, and a USB cable that this also comes with. It's a pretty good deal for $30. Now, you're going to see this right here. I don't know if it's showing up on the screen here. So it says, do you want the original one, or do you want the one that is USB-C to NVMe and SSD? Right now, that's an extra like $40 just so you can read M.2 SSDs, right? Like this M.2 SSD will plug into that adapter and read SATA hard drives, SATA SSDs, and M.2 SSDs, right? But that's $40. And the thing is, you're not going to use this thing every day. So what I recommend you do is I recommend you get the $30 additional, like original edition to analyze hard drives, and get yourself one of these Ugreen adapters. One of these Ugreen adapters for $16. Like, that's such a deal, especially for something that you're not going to use all the time, right? Now, if you're going to use it all the time, like you're a college student and you need an external SSD, having this and a couple cables in your bag is so much easier than hauling. I don't even know where it is. Where's my adapter? I think that's right here. Like, it's so much easier for you to haul something like this than a giant enclosure with, like, if you need an external, get one of these adapters. It also comes with its own like heating paste, so you can not worry about your SSD just going nuclear within the external case. And that's like a better deal for $16 free shipping with Prime, compared to like $40 for an adapter that has it like, come on, dude, you're getting a really good deal here. If you're too cheap for M.2 and you don't do a lot of crazy gaming and you don't need one that's like integral to the motherboard and like, put into the motherboard, you can get a 240 and put Windows and some other files onto it, and then have like 1 TB storage for everything else. Let me see something here. Do they not offer 1.92? That's strange. How about 960? Yeah, 960 for like 960 gigs on a SATA SSD compared to 1 TB. It's like $30 difference between $100 here and like $62 here. Ooh, wait, hold on, they have M.2. $30 for 120. How about 120? How about 119? No, no. That's all they offer. They offer up to 480 for $50. That's not too bad actually. But I haven't heard that much about like SATA or M.2 SSDs for Kingston. So be wary. You know, I have heard really good stuff about the Samsung 980s. Always check reviews. I think reviews on Amazon are relatively trustworthy. I think certain online reviews are really good too, but you kind of have to filter through like what's paid marketing and like what's like a nerd that's just like pedantic about every single little like bit and teraflop that really doesn't matter compared to like your overall experience. Like what mattered to me was I'm going from this to this, and it was a world of difference, and that's all I give a shit about. Like figure out what your interests are before you make purchases based on advice and rumors. Figure out what your needs are. Your needs determine your speeds. You get what I'm saying? So I hope this clarifies different form factors, their use cases, and when they matter to you. Have a great one.